What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, there are over 3.4 billion scam emails being sent around the world? What if I told you that in the time it takes you to watch this video, someone will lose their life savings to a romance scammer they've never met? And what if I told you that the most sophisticated scam in internet history wasn't run by hackers in hoodies, but by a grandmother from Ohio who stole over $100 million? Welcome back to No BS Hustle. Today, we're diving deep into the wild, twisted, and absolutely insane history of internet scams. From the early days of dial-up deception to today's AI-powered nightmares, we're going to uncover how criminals turned the World Wide Web into the worldwide trap. But here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Internet scams didn't start with the internet. They didn't even start with computers. The blueprint for every scam you see today was written over 500 years ago, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at your inbox the same way again. So smash that subscribe button, because we're about to go on a journey through digital deception that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about online safety. Let's start with a story that sounds absolutely insane but is 100% true. Picture this. It's 1588, and a Spanish prisoner of war writes a letter to a wealthy English merchant. The letter claims he has insider information about hidden treasure worth millions, but he needs money up front to access it. Sound familiar? This is literally the first recorded advance fee fraud in history. The exact same scam that would later become the infamous Nigerian Prince email. But here's the kicker. It worked so well that variations of this scam have been running continuously for over 400 years. But then something revolutionary happened. In 1969, the first message was sent over ARPANET, the precursor to our modern internet. And while the scientists and engineers were celebrating this incredible breakthrough in human communication, they had no idea they had just handed criminals the most powerful weapon in the history of fraud. Because here's what nobody talks about. The internet didn't create new types of scams. It just made the old ones infinitely more dangerous. And the first person to figure this out would become the godfather of internet fraud. It's 1978, and most people have never even heard the word email. But in corporate America, this new technology called electronic mail is starting to spread through office buildings like wildfire. And one man saw an opportunity that would change everything. His name was Gary Thurk, and he worked for a computer company called Digital Equipment Corporation. On May 3, 1978, Gary sent the first commercial email in history to 400 ARPANET users, advertising his company's new computers. Congratulations, Gary. You just invented spam. But here's where it gets interesting. That first spam email actually worked. It generated 13 million in sales. And criminals around the world took note. By the early 1980s, as personal computers started appearing in homes, a new breed of criminal emerged. These weren't your typical street thugs. These were tech-savvy fraudsters who understood that the anonymity of digital communication was the perfect cover for their schemes. The first internet scams appeared on something called bulletin board systems, or BBS. These were like primitive social networks where people could post messages and share files. And almost immediately, scammers started posting fake classified ads for cars, electronics, and other goods that didn't exist. But the real breakthrough came when someone figured out how to automate the process. Instead of manually posting individual scam messages, they could send hundreds or thousands at once. Mass deception had just gone digital, and then came the moment that changed everything. In 1988, a graduate student named Robert Morris accidentally unleashed the first internet worm, infecting 6,000 computers and essentially breaking the early internet for several days. But here's the twist. Morris wasn't trying to cause damage. He was just experimenting. Criminals, however, were paying very close attention. Welcome to the 1990s, the decade when the internet went mainstream and scammers hit the jackpot. Picture this. Millions of people are getting online for the first time. Most of them have no idea how any of this technology actually works, and there are basically no rules or regulations governing online behavior. It was like the Wild West, except the outlaws could rob you from thousands of miles away while hiding behind fake identities. The epicenter of 90s internet scams was America Online, AOL. With over 30 million subscribers by the late 90s, AOL was ground zero for what we now call social engineering attacks. Scammers would pose as AOL employees and send instant messages asking users to verify their passwords and credit card information. But the crown jewel of 90s scams was just getting started, and it came from an unexpected place, Nigeria. Now, you've probably heard of the Nigerian Prince scam, but here's what you don't know. It didn't start with princes, and it wasn't originally about inheritance money. The scam that would become known as 419, fraud, named after the Nigerian criminal. Code that prohibits it actually began as a response to Nigeria's economic crisis in the 1980s when oil prices crashed. Educated Nigerians found themselves without legitimate opportunities to make money. Some turned to what they called Yahoo, elaborate confidence schemes targeting wealthy foreigners. They started with fax machines and postal mail, but when email became widely available in the mid-90s, everything changed. By 1999, the FBI estimated that Nigerian advance fee frauds were pulling in over $100 million per year. But that was just the beginning. The real explosion was about to happen, and it would be triggered by something nobody saw coming. Remember Y2K? The year 2000 bug that was supposed to crash every computer on Earth? Well, it turns out Y2K was a scammer's paradise. As panic spread about potential computer failures, con artists launched massive campaigns selling Y2K protection software, Millennium survival kits, and fake computer fixes. But the real game changer came right after Y2K didn't end the world. Suddenly, millions of people who had been afraid of computers realized the internet wasn't so scary after all. Online shopping exploded, email became mainstream, and social networking was born. And scammers evolved with lightning speed. Enter the era of phishing. And yes, it's spelled with a PH because the hackers who invented it were also phone freaks who like to play with spelling. The first major phishing attack targeted AOL users in the early 2000s, with scammers sending fake emails that looked exactly like official AOL communications. But here's the brilliant part. They weren't just stealing passwords anymore. They were stealing identities, credit card numbers, social security numbers, bank account information, everything they needed to become you. And then someone had an idea that would change internet fraud forever. What if instead of targeting individuals one by one, they could compromise entire websites and steal thousands of identities at once? The first major data breach happened in 2005 when hackers stole 40 million credit card numbers from TJX companies. But that was nothing compared to what was coming. Because at the same time, a new platform was emerging that would give scammers access to more personal information than they had ever dreamed of. It was called Facebook. Here's something that's going to terrify you. In 2024, the average person shares more personal information on social media in a single week than their grandparents shared with strangers in their entire lifetime. Your birthday, your pet's name, your mother's maiden name, where you went to school, who your friends are, where you work, where you live, it's all right there for scammers to harvest. But in 2004, when Facebook launched, nobody was thinking about privacy. Social media was fun, it was new, and people were sharing everything. Scammers quickly realized they had just been handed the world's largest intelligence database. Romance scams exploded. Suddenly, criminals could create fake profiles using stolen photos, craft detailed backstories based on real people's information, and target victims with surgical precision. They knew what you liked, who your friends were, what you were going through emotionally. But the most devastating social media scam wasn't about romance. It was about friendship. Grandparent scams started appearing around 2008, where criminals would call elderly people pretending to be their grandchildren in trouble, needing money immediately. These scams were heartbreaking because they exploited the most fundamental human emotion: love for family. Grandparents would wire thousands of dollars to help grandchildren who were never actually in danger. But social media scams were just the warm-up act, because while everyone was focused on Facebook and Twitter, something much more dangerous was brewing in the shadows of the internet. Cryptocurrencies were about to be invented, and they would give scammers something they'd never had before: the ability to steal money that could never be traced or recovered. January 3rd, 2009. A mysterious person named Satoshi Nakamoto creates the first Bitcoin block, launching a financial revolution that would change the world. But here's the dark side nobody talks about. Bitcoin also solved scammers' biggest problem. Before cryptocurrency, every scam had a paper trail. Bank transfers, wire transfers, money orders. There was always a way to trace the money and potentially recover it. But Bitcoin was designed to be anonymous and irreversible. As Bitcoin's value exploded from pennies to thousands of dollars, it attracted a new breed of criminal, tech-savvy scammers who understood that cryptocurrency wasn't just digital money, it was the perfect getaway car. The first major Bitcoin scam was surprisingly simple. In 2011, a site called MyBitcoin claimed to offer secure Bitcoin storage. Users deposited their Bitcoin for safekeeping, and then one day, poof, the site vanished along with $78 million in Bitcoin. But that was just the beginning. Ransomware attacks exploded. Criminals would encrypt your computer files and demand Bitcoin payment for the decryption key. The 2017 WannaCry attack infected over 300,000 computers worldwide, bringing hospitals, railways, and government agencies to their knees. Fake cryptocurrency exchanges popped up everywhere, stealing billions in investor funds. Ponzi schemes disguised as crypto investment opportunities promised impossible returns. And through it all, the money flowed into digital wallets that might as well have been black holes. But just when you think you've seen the worst the internet has to offer, technology takes another leap forward. And with it, scammers gained access to the most powerful deception tool in human history. We need to talk about what's happening right now because it's absolutely terrifying. AI technology has advanced to the point where scammers can clone your voice with just a few seconds of audio, create fake videos of you saying anything, and generate text that's indistinguishable from human writing. In 2023, a mother in Arizona received a call from someone who sounded exactly like her daughter, crying and begging for help. The voice was perfect, every inflection, every emotion completely believable. The caller demanded $50,000 ransom money. The daughter was safe at home. This is called voice cloning, and it's happening thousands of times per day. Scammers are using AI to create synthetic voices of your loved ones, your boss, even celebrities, to manipulate victims into sending money or revealing personal information. Deepfake videos are getting so realistic that experts can barely tell them apart from real footage. Scammers are creating fake video calls where they appear to be trusted contacts, making their schemes almost impossible to detect. Dating sites are flooded with AI-generated profile photos of people who don't exist. Investment scams use fake testimonial videos featuring celebrities who never endorsed the products. The line between reality and artificial deception has completely disappeared. But here's the most chilling part. We're still in the early stages of AI development. What happens when this technology becomes even more sophisticated? What happens when scammers can create perfect digital replicas of anyone, saying anything, doing anything? The future of internet scams isn't just about stealing money anymore. It's about weaponizing reality itself. So here we are, folks. From handwritten Spanish prisoner letters in the 1500s to AI-generated deepfake videos today, we've traced an unbroken line of human deception that spans over 500 years. The internet didn't create greed, desperation, or the willingness to exploit others. It just gave these timeless human weaknesses a global stage and digital superpowers. But here's the thing. Knowledge is your best defense. Now that you know how these scams evolved, how they work, and what to look for, you're infinitely safer than you were 20 minutes ago. Share this video with someone you care about, because the best way to fight internet scams is to make sure everyone knows they exist. Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden corners of internet history. And remember, if something online seems too good to be true, it probably came straight out of a 500-year-old playbook. And hey, next week we're diving into the most successful internet scam in history. It's still running today, it's stolen over $50 billion, and there's a 90% chance you've encountered it in the last month.